All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to your November reading. I am going to break the readings down by week. So, this reading is going to cover November 1st through November 8th. So, that's Saturday, Saturn's Day, to Saturday, Saturn's Day. We are at the end of week 44 and we are starting week 45. So I took the liberty of making some notes. So you're going to have some specifics. And for those of you who are regular viewers, this is different than how I normally do the readings. So we're going to try something new for November because November is the month of teaching. And since I'm a master teacher, I will teach this month. Okay. So again, astrology reading November 1st through 2025 through November 8th, 2025. And it's actually in astronumerology because I do both the astrology and the numerology. So let's start with and I do have my charts open so I can read the energy for you guys. But let's start with part of the numerology because I made a video telling you guys that there was going to be a culmination of energy leading to November 8th, which November 8th is actually a Saturday. But remember, the energy is always a 3-day window. So that could be that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Every day is a 3-day window of energy because of where we are in the world at any given time. Okay? So let's start with week 45. This is the 45th week of the year, which is comprised of the 4 and the 5. 4 is about home matters and working hard, being practical, being diligent. The 5 energy is about traveling, freedom, children, expressing yourself in joyous ways, business, right? Combine those together and it's the 9 energy. The 9 energy is the culmination. You've learned some lesson. It is the I'm going to school to the next level, right? So I graduated from this lower level. I'm going to the next level, which means endings, which means letting go, which means things closing. And sometimes it's hard to let go, and sometimes it's hard to allow things to end. So endings can be in terms of death in the physical sense, but endings always represent death in the spiritual sense. So that could mean that you have moved because the 4 energy is a home energy and the 5 energy is a movement energy. You could change homes this week, and therefore there might be a little bit of nostalgia because you are leaving the old self, the old home, the old environment, and that part is dying. So this entire 45th week will be about dying and transition, but just remember that some are physical, most are spiritual. All right. The energy of November. So this is the themes that you will work on for the entire November, not just this week. Okay. So November itself is the 11th month. 11, as far as the numerology standpoint, is the master number, master teacher, right? And that's the high vibration. So that's independent natures, newness, beginnings, and those newness, those beginnings, that leader, those energies form themselves into a great teacher, a lesson bringer. So November is the lesson bringer from a teacher. Some lessons come after the teaching indicates something that doesn't feel good, right? So if you're riding a bike and you fall off because you let go too fast or you turn a corner too sharply, you learn a lesson, but you also get a bruise. The master teacher, as the November month is going to be showing you things in your life. Some things need to end and some things need to start. It's going to be giving you information that can take your life to the next level if you're on the high vibration. If you're on the low vibration, the November is going to just be about your partnerships and your relationships, but it's always going to bring an energy of duality. The duality is going to come because there will be highs and lows throughout the entire month in every sign, in every house. So the highs might come when you get that lesson, that teacher, that person who's able to take your life, your business, your career to the next level, able to help you reach your goals. But then you could also have that partner who's weighing you down, who's holding you back, who doesn't believe in anything that you're doing. And you might have to decide to let that person go in order to move forward. Or you might have to let go of your old life in order to go where someone can teach you and elevate you. Definitely about lessons. But within the November month, there's two other energies. I call them the minor energies. One of the minor energies, they're themes that will always be occurring. It's the 5 energy and then the 13-4 energy. Now the 13-4 energy is a karmic number. And the karmic numbers always indicate that you have to balance something. 13-4 means you're going to be balancing the energy of the 2, and you're going to be balancing that relationship in one sense. So November is the 2 energy. And then that's a partnership energy. And then you're going to be balancing your need to express yourself and be an individual. And then you're going to need to be balancing how you put all of that together to enable you to have the foundation that you would like to have. In addition to that, we have the energy of the 5. And the 5 energy, definitely about freedom, definitely about children, definitely about students, definitely about lessons, definitely about traveling, definitely about wanting to be able to express yourself in a fun, energetic way. Energy requires a couple of things. One, adequate rest. You have to have adequate rest. You could play too much and not have enough rest to get things done. Or you might not be diligent in your task because you've played and had fun too much. There's more things happening, but you're going to have the theme of teaching, receiving, and changing and accepting it, being adaptable, being flexible. Those are themes. So situations will come up that will require flexibility. Another theme, stabilizing your foundation and understanding the value of home. Understanding the value of energy and vibrations, highs and lows, and where it is appropriate to operate in each energy is going to be key this month. And when I say highs and lows, that means that there are times when you're over the top because you're so super excited, but the other people in the room aren't over the top. They aren't super excited. They don't know the vision that you have. And at that moment, it might be best for you to calm yourself down and keep that vision tight to your chest until you can get in the room where the people are at the same vibration that you are and they're able to grasp the vision that you have. Because sometimes if you share the vision, when other people start talking, it can cause you to doubt your vision. The 11 is a number of intuition, and intuition always is key to helping you achieve anything. There are things that each of us innately know. So if you know that the vision that you have is going to be able to enlighten the world, bring something to fruition, it's going to change the things, change lives, then you have to hold on to that and not let go of it because of naysayers. A lesson that you will learn this month. All right, there's a couple other numbers that are going to show up majorly. So the 11-2, the 13-4, then we have the 14-5, which is a karmic energy again. And this is about freedom. This is about balancing freedom. This is about restrictions. And then we have the number 8. We always think of that as money, but it's also about power. It's also about research. It's also about death. It's also about health on one side. And the number 3, which is about joy, childish energy, action. So 5 is an action energy, 3 is an action energy, 8 is an action energy. You must take action on your goals, your plans, your dreams. Now, 13.4 is the lesson also of military action. So, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of military action taking place and a lot of restrictions that take place during this week. This is specifically November 1st through November 8th. So anytime the day energy comes up to a 13.4, you're going to see more military news, military things that they've done. So those days will be November 2nd, we have a 13.4 energy. And that 13.4 energy that we have on November 2nd is because we have this 306th day of the year. Always these energies are comprised of more than just the actual day. So that's why you can see some military type action, which that means strategy. Someone putting a strategy in place and sometimes being forceful, sometimes being domineering, sometimes being demanding. Sometimes it is protection, but when it's karmic, it is not normally the protective side. It is normally the taking side, the taking by force to showing that I have the power and the control. The other days that we have that 13.4 energy a little bit is November 4th. There's going to be a smaller element of the 13.4 energy, but it is going to be there. And then let's see, the last, is there any more 13.4 energy other than the entire month? Because remember, the entire month has that 13.4. So there's going to be a constant threat of military action. And that's not just in the United States. There's going to be a constant threat of war, a constant threat of restrictions and liberties being taken, being stolen. That's going to be a constant thing. So there is going to be an increased death this month. And an increased death is not just because of the 13.4. Yes, there will be increased death because of military action, but there's also going to be the death energy because of that 11.2. There's going to be the death energy because of that 8. There's also going to be the energy of the death of a mother or a mother figure that's coming this week, which is rather tragic, but that energy is showing up. The 11.2 energy, in addition to being for the entire month, is also going to show itself today, November 1st. Then we're going to have it show up on November 3rd, and we're going to have it show up on November 8th. And the thing about the 11.2 is that whenever it shows up, it is a lesson day. It's a great day for your intuition, for you to know things and pay attention to things. But there's also going to be something that you take away from that day that could impact the rest of your life. So pay attention to those days. There's information about food, about a mission and contracts that become really important on the 11.2 days. And there's also a need for you to follow your dreams on those days. The 14.5 energy, which is a karmic energy, is about restrictions with freedom, abuse, and prophetic musings becoming reality. So predictions that you've heard showing up. And it is definitely about overindulgence, doing too much. So be careful with eating, sex, drugs, rock and roll, any of those things. Doing too much of that stuff is a problem. So what days do we have the 14 energy being felt? The 14.5 energy. So let's look at our days here. We have that 14.5 energy showing up on November 3rd. So it's going to be in addition to the 11.2 energy, right? So 2 lessons that day, but one is definitely a karmic day. So that's the duality of the month. That's the highs and the lows. And then that's it on that day. Okay. The 8 energy is about power. The 8 energy is about 2 sides of power, and it's definitely about balance. It is the infinity symbol. So it goes round and around and around. So the 8 energy can mean that you are experiencing a cycle again, a cycle related to money. Perhaps you gained a lot of money, and then you spent it all. And now it came back around that you had the opportunity to gain a lot of money. And at this point, you have to make a decision. Do you invest and grow that money? Or do you spend it all and waste it all, right? This is especially important because in the United States, this is a holiday season. And during the holiday season, a lot of people tend to spend funds more than they need to, more than they have. Okay? So we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to spend all of our funds. So it is also about power, a power struggle, and about a bossing up. So on a positive note, if you have a business, your business can grow. If you are going for a position at work, you have the ability to put yourself in a good light and actually get the promotion. So that's the power. If you are a boss at a job, there's a cautionary tale. The caution is for you to not just be the boss over someone, but to be the leader who is guiding someone. And therefore, your people who work underneath you will do more for you. Okay, so that's a lesson of the 8. So the 8 energy is going to show up on November 2nd. It is also going to show up on November 4th. It is going to show up again on November 6th. And that's the last time that it shows up. Now, for the world, those days are going to be the days that we see more of these secret plots come out. We're going to get more news and communication about what's going on. Someone had a plan to do this. And sometimes, and we'll look at the astrology portion of it, that's going to be a death day. A day where you find out someone was taken out, and killed due to some type of plotting, right, by a government or a lover or someone, right? That's the type of energy, the type of news that you will receive. And this could be in your family, in your home, in the world. Also, the death could be by poisoning. Just pay attention to that. And also through surgery. Definitely a day for scandals to be revealed. You have to be careful with the 8 energy because the 8 energy also represents a misuse of power and greediness. And normally you have to be in a position of power in order to have greed. Most people who are not in a position of power are not greedy, right? So that means whomever has the rule over you can be taken more than what they're due. Alrighty. The last numerical energy that is going to continue to show up in this month, at least this week, is the 3 energy. And the 3 is normally, everybody's like, oh, 3 is such a good number, it's so much joy. And it is. It is joy, it is happiness, it is celebration, it is talking with people, it is laughing. The 5 brings that too, right? But the 3 is open communication with multiple people, multiple ways, right? Very good, very great, right? Now, there's another side of the 3. Because the 3 is having fun and playing, this can also be a childish type energy, communicating in an immature way that alienates people. And if you are at a job, that could prevent you from getting a promotion. If you have a business and you joke too much with certain clients, that could prevent you from having those clients come back. Now, on the one side, you might say, well, that's just my personality, but does it align with your goal? That's the question. If it aligns with your goal, if you're a comedian or an entertainer, that's going to be excellent for you. You want to joke, you want to be jovial, you want to have people be attracted to you for your humor. Now, it is also about beauty and self-expression. When the 3 energy comes up, you want to speak your truth. Sometimes you could be in a situation where you feel restricted and that speaking your truth will cause an issue. But this energy really does call for you to do exactly that. Speak your truth. Hold on just a moment, you guys. Let me plug this in. I don't want my power to go out. Although we know the government is tracking me. but I relocated for a moment. I'm going to relocate again, so got to stay on the move. Um, Now, the three is the other energy that brings about death. And so this could be death of parents. I mentioned death of a mother. This could be something with siblings. Um, but the three also call for you to take action on something. And because you guys know I'm a death doula, um, goddess of death, as some people say, I know when death comes. This month is going to be bringing some death energy because some death is needed. This might also bring a time where your ability to communicate with someone dies. And that could be someone blocked you on social media or you blocked someone on social media. And now you guys are not able to communicate. This could also be because of the government actually removing certain social media things, like restricting your videos on social media to where your communication, your story, your voice doesn't reach the target audience. Okay. And by the way, I need to let you guys know that I am moving to a new platform where I am going to restrict the information that I put on the public platforms and make sure that the people who are getting the information are only in my community, right? So, more to come about that later. So, what days do we see these threes, these communications, these jovialness on one side, and this duality, meaning sometimes sad news being communicated as well? What days this week? So, three energies today, November 1st, right? Big three energy today. And then we go to November 4th is another 3 day. November 6th is another 3 day. November 8th is another 3 day. Now, we're going to get into more about November 8th a little bit later when we go through the astrology. But I want you guys to know that November 8th is 55 in numerology. And it comes down to 1. And 55 means double fives, right? And double five is energy of freedom, right? And in 1955, we had the civil rights movement with the Montgomery boycott, all these types of things like that. We had the Cold War actually come up as be a major issue. These types of things, things like Disneyland opened, which was supposed to be about fun and things of that nature. So the 5 represents restrictions, and it also represents lessons in schools and things like that. So we have a lot of lessons that are going to take place on November 8th, but some of those lessons might be because there's restrictions in civil liberties and because we have more energy about the actual war that we are actively in, a civil war that we are actively in. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that as I look through the astrology for you guys. So, getting into the pieces of the astrology, and I have both my screens up so I can see the energy, and we're going to move through the astrology for each day, keeping in mind the numbers. So astrology is the major energy. Numbers are the minor energy. So you can look at astrology as a global impact. And although numerology is a global impact, you as an individual will feel that energy a lot more. Now, your numbers might change. They do based on where you are. But these energies hit a huge population of people. Remember that my astrology readings are based off of the Eastern time zone, New York time zone. Therefore, you have to adjust the energies based on where you are. Additionally, my astrology readings are Eastern astrology, not Western astrology. Okay. So if I tell you the sun is in Libra, the sun is in Libra. If I tell you the moon is in Aquarius, the moon is in Aquarius. And if you know, recently they announced that the tilt of the earth and the fact that it has been moving a little bit means that Western astrology is not nearly as accurate. Okay. Now, no shade to Western astrology. It has a place in the world. It does what it does. But I like for the energy to be more exact. Okay. So I'm going to start now because at the time of this reading, I'm looking at the energy for November 1st. And right now, there's a lot of energy in the first house, which is the home and the body. And there is also energy in the 10th house, which is about government. And that energy is being aspected by the 7th house, which is about contracts. And so there's energy being revealed about the government contracts. And the government contracts is tied to military actions. All right. So that information is being revealed at this moment. So there's things going on at the government within the government that they appear to be one thing, but they're actually for military action. They're actually for to be able to facilitate death. That's what's happening. Okay. So the first house, we're looking at the moon in the first house in Aquarius. And Aquarius is that technology type energy, but the Aquarius is also that tribal energy. Aquarius looks out for the world. So there are some people right now in your life, in your atmosphere on this day, who are really trying to look out for you. That's what that energy is saying. There's also the second house, which is your long-term values, but it's really about what is important to you. And that second house is about spirituality right now. So that means a lot of you are interested in what's important to you is your spiritual freedom, your ability to have health care, because the 12th house is Pisces, which represents hospitalizations, institutions, spirituality, transitioning, death, of course. Death is represented by several different houses, but Pisces is one of those. And their Saturn has just entered Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces normally means that you are able to get work done in a particular area. So there's work being done in that area, work being done in institutions and spirituality. There's a movement being done at this point. And when you know that there's a movement in an area, then you look at what lesson, because we're in November, what lesson will be learned in this particular area. And there will be lessons learned about spirituality, especially communication about the restrictions and people overcoming those and finding a way to have the type of life that they want as far as their religious or spiritual belief, despite whatever actions are put out there. The other thing that is happening is there is a problem with health that is starting, and today is for November 2nd, but more light is there regarding the health. There is a restriction, and so the health right now, the law is being put out there to impact the 4th house, actually to impact, that's incorrect, to impact the 6th house for health, but with 4th house energy, with mothering type energy. So this is moms and children. So the energy is being impacted by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the government, the leader, right? The priest, the politician, the normally the person who expands and makes things better, right? The priest, the Jupiter, not just priestly, because Jupiter rules Pisces, which is priest, but it is also rules Sagittarius, which is the teacher. So these are people with all the knowledge. So they have the knowledge of what is going on and how to make it better, how to free and liberate you. So there are people who are just now starting to become impactful in the 4th house mothers by way of the 6th house, which is about food. So in the United States, this tells me that that situation we have going on with the food insecurity, because the SNAP benefits have been terminated or are being terminated, is impacted by government, but that is going to be your local government. So that is going to be your state agencies, your city agencies, and municipalities. That is not going to be government in the sense of coming from the White House. So that starts right now, and Jupiter's going to be in that energy, and we'll move it around and see how long it stays there. But that is where the help is going to come from. The other thing that is happening, the sixth energy, not the sixth energy, excuse me, the eighth house energy that we have going on. And eighth is normally the Scorpio. So when you think about Scorpio, you think about somebody who is definitely a boss, definitely moves, definitely gets things done. The most sensual, sexual type energy, right? So that means the eighth house deals with sex, death, research. Venus is sitting in the eighth house at the moment that I'm doing this reading, which is kind of good, meaning that partnerships, the love, the connection is kind of there for some of you. So that's good. The sun is aspecting that Venus in the eighth house energy. So I think of things of a person. When you meet someone, you have this spark of beauty. So it's a physical attraction. So finding things that are beautiful is being highlighted in that moment. So that means that today, some of you guys could be meeting someone that you have an attraction towards, right? 11 being 2 is also partnerships. So in November, there's going to be several of you who meet partners, who meet people that you connect with in the midst of everything else that's going on. That's going to be a large population of people coming together. So that Venus energy is starting for some of you today, which is good. Also looks like a Virgo. You might meet a Virgo for some of you. So let's look at one other thing. This is overall, November 1st is a good day, but I also look at another energy that definitely impacts this day. Okay. All right. So this energy, the other energy that's out here, is the person that you might meet. This is really, really interesting because we can see the type of person. This is a person with that their hair is going to be very impressive to you. Their hair might be like stick out, curly, beautiful. Could be red hair, fiery kind of energy. Their hair is going to be attractive to you. That's the energy of the person. And then there's another. This energy, which there's also a deaf energy, right? You could meet someone who works in the deaf industry or their job involves a lot of deaf. Now, that could be a doctor, that could be a mortician, that could be someone who is like myself, a deaf doula. That could be someone who is a psychic medium who interacts with spirits, the dead and dying. That could be someone who is a hospice nurse or someone who works at a hospice facility. So when I say that, I have to be careful because some people take it and think that it's just somebody who's going to kill them, but that's not exactly it. Okay. All right. Another energy that is really big in this month, or at least this day, is I got to move it around a little bit to see where it goes to. But this is this energy, this military energy that I spoke of. And this military energy, let's see where it moved to. So it looks like it moved towards the education and putting a stop to that or putting a highlight on that. And then it goes to the 8th house. So there's probably going to be, more than likely, there's going to be some conflict that you're going to hear about later in the week that the military was involved in that led to death, perhaps of civilians. that was not justified. Okay? So let's move on to November 2nd. Let's go up a day and see what kind of energy we have. Okay, how do we start the day? All right, so November 2nd, we start the day with, let's see what energy is. November 2nd is Sunday, Sun Day. And of course, the sun is the energy that is starting out in the first house, and that is dealing with Libra. But Venus is also there, and Venus rules Libra. So Venus is just now in that first house, just getting there, just all happy a little bit, because Venus is in its own house, but it's in its own house with the sun. The sun doesn't like to be in Venus' house. Venus is beauty, and Venus is like having fun and giving advice, but Venus also is that balance energy on one side, and then it's the home energy on another side, and then it's art energy on another side, and the sun is an action oriented energy. So there might be a little bit of balance that is off, right? You might not be able to get things done. You might have planned to do things on this day. Say, for instance, you plan to go to a show, a movie, or a concert with someone, and then someone backed out for some reason, right? So those plans fell apart. That's the energy of the day. That's how it starts. Now, those plans could have fallen apart because perhaps you found out that one of the government agencies was in your town or in around that area, and or maybe that because the government agency energy is directly impacting your first house on Sunday. And then the other part is there is also another energy of autoimmune disorder, arthritis, inflammation. That type of energy is going on. So perhaps the person had a flare up of their autoimmune disorder. Okay. There is a movement towards education. So some of you are going to be definitive about either going back to school or becoming a teacher. You're going to make that decision on this day and take action towards it. It is a good time for you to go back to school, and anything dealing with technology, that would be good for you. Anything definitely dealing with children, anything dealing with the body, kinesiology, that energy, all of that is rewarded. So if you're thinking of going back to school for those things, this is a good day to commit to it. If you're thinking of becoming a teacher or opening a school, this is a good day to commit to it. The Jupiter energy is very expensive for career and things that have to do with the home, so building, architecture, things of that nature. But it is just now in that house and starting to expand the energy in your career house. So if you are thinking at this time of changing careers, this day, November 2nd, is the day for you to put your application out there, and you will get back some energy. Now remember, November 2nd, let's look at it from our numerology standpoint. It is a 4 energy, so it is definitely about hard work, building, and this 4 energy is also associated with that 4 that the Jupiter is sitting in the 10th house. Okay, so definitely a time for you to put some foundational energy there, some dedication towards your career house on November 2nd. And also, this is that 13-4 energy. So remember, 13-4 represents balance, thinking about what is real and unreal. So let's not get there and be like, I'm going to become an astronaut when you don't even have a bachelor's degree. Let's become real about what you can do and the steps that you have to take in order to get there. If you want to become an astronaut, then you need to get your high school diploma. You need to make a plan, what are those steps that you need to take in order to get to that point of becoming an astronaut. Okay. Now, the fourth house is Cancer. Cancer is a energy that is definitely a little emotional, a little bit, can change their mind, right? Today, you need to actually be diligent and make a decision that you can stick with. Okay, so be careful with that. Don't just go back and forth. As far as another thing that may come up with the health, lack of movement will cause some problems in the chest area, the knee area, and the kidneys. If you can go be in water or a pond, a well, or something like that, do some movement in water, that will help you. And you also may need to drink more water on that day, November 2nd. All right, so let's move the energy some more. Definitely movement in the house, in the home. This also could be the day that you decide that I'm going to move out from my mama and go get some other place to live. It's definitely movement. Be careful of the arguments. Be careful of arguing with your mother, because your mother may not be here much longer. Okay? Love your mother while you can. That's a mixed message for some of you guys. Did that day show up? Yes, that day showed up as a death day. So by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you will hear about the death of someone. Okay? The good thing is that there's more information coming out there about these secret plans. And I know people don't like secret plans, but the thing about a secret plan is that once you know about it, you can do something about it. You can have a counter plan once secrets are revealed. All right, let's move on to November 3rd. This video is getting kind of long. I got to speed it up. All right, November 3rd. Yes, November 3rd. Same energy is there, the Sun and Venus. Unfortunately, there's going to be some competition that you're going to have to deal with when it comes to healthcare in the health field. So there might be someone that you are working with who is not your fan, who perhaps is going for the same job that you're going for. So you're going to have to put your best foot forward in that regard. Let's move up. There is going to be a huge focus on the sixth house on November 3rd. The sixth house is definitely the house of your health in general, but it is also the house of competition. And in your sixth house, the mother energy, the feminine energy, not just a mother, but a feminine energy, is going to have some struggles with health on November 3rd. Yes, November 3rd. And this could occur while traveling. So this, you got to be careful with cars and car accidents on November 3rd. Not really a good day for that feminine energy. November 3rd. This is also a day, it could be associated with wealth, obtaining wealth from some people. And for some people, obtaining the wealth is going to be through an inheritance from someone. So that's not always the best way to obtain wealth. There is going to be some extra money given to the military on this day. So some money will be released for the military, or at least the news, the communication about the military money is going to be given on this day, November 3rd. Check all your contracts this day because there are a few hidden clauses in the contract. Um, the energy of this day has shifted. It is a good day on one side, but there is a lot of delays on another side, a lot of debilitated type energy. So November 3rd could kind of see your plans not necessarily go as you would like for them to go because all of these energies that are fighting against them. It is important this day for you to make sure that you make the plan, and if you find that you can't do the thing, that you pivot, you be flexible enough to shift and maybe go forward with the plan another day. Um, be careful on the November 3rd day because I do see some um, raids, is the best way I can put it, military action occurring that in homes, an increase in that action on November 3rd. And it looks like there's going to be a shift to do some of it at night. Okay. Let's anything else with that November 3rd? There is, yeah, that's the mother energy again for November 3rd. Um, be careful if your mother is traveling November 3rd. Okay. November 4th. Move to November 4th. November 4th. So November 4th starts with our friend, the Leo energy showing up. And the Leo energy is a protective energy. It is not just the energy of being overly aggressive, because we know that Leo is being overly aggressive, but it's also an energy that looks out for those that are within its community, and that energy is needed today on November 4th. So a leader, aggressive leader, may develop or show up who is there to protect the community. Okay, because we still have that military type, warring type energy that's going on. Now, that energy, the Leo energy, can be a conflict type energy, but it is also a movement energy, and it also is the energy of travel. So you might see the need for you to physically relocate in order to be able to fall into the protection that that Leo leader is offering. So that means some of you may decide that your best course of action is to relocate. That's November 4th. There is going to be a lot of people moving for protection. That's what they're looking for. They're seeking peace. Let's see if there's any other real. Watch out for school attacks or attacks on children later on the 3rd. Or plots against schools. On the 3rd. So then on the 4th, there's no new energy on the 4th. Except for new rules on the 4th. Okay, so yeah, the 4th is, so this energy that I see on the 4th is definitely associated with death. So there's going to be some breakup of military leaders on the 4th. And when I say death, that means changing of military leaders on the, I'm sorry, this is the 5th. That's on the 5th that happens. Let me go back one day on the 4th. Oops. Oh, wait. No, I was right. On the 4th. Should have known I was right. On the 4th, there's going to be some changing of military leaders or someone in that position of a power in the military, or not just the military, but someone even in a sporting event, such as like a football or NBA or something, but a leadership change on November 4th. Okay, due to scandals. Who knew? Probably set scandals, more than likely set scandals. So someone else will be stepping down on that day. There's going to be an expansion in educational platforms on that day, new educational platform on that day. So you might see someone coming out with a new school, and the new school may have restrictions, meaning that it may be for a certain group of people. May not accept everyone. Okay. And let's see. Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. So things not to do on the 4th. Don't get married. Don't attend any public ceremonies, because this energy is dictatorship energy. And the master dictator is unfortunately feeling the need to make some things happen on that day, to cause chaos on that day. So do not attend any public anything, no protest or anything on the 4th. It's not a good day. It doesn't matter what you want to protest, don't do it, because someone wants to show their power and their authority and make an example out of people. Okay, so let's move on. Really, really aggressive. And by the end of the day, you will hear about more deaths because of it. All right, let's move on to the 5th. I would like for people to be good people, but some people don't want to be good people. All right, the 5th, still general, same energy, starting out the day. We're going to start the day off slow, move into a little bit of estroness. My gracious. November 5th, there's going to be more news regarding women specifically. And the reproductive rights or reproductive system of a woman, particularly, is the news. Could be the rights of a woman in general. And November 5th is the 7 energy for starters, and then there's the 1 energy. There's going to be a 6 energy and a 5 energy. The 6 energy is normally the energy that has children, so it's definitely in line with the reproductive energy. The 5 energy is normally the freedom and the changing, so definitely some restrictions and change in that regard, that energy. And a time to reflect, to go inside and to contemplate what this means for you in your life. For some of you, this could be a simple thing as if you're going to start going through menopause. But for others, it could be the inability to have children, um, restrictions in that way, to inability to birth children. Because remember, you can always adopt children. And there's a lot of children who need to be adopted by people who love them. Side note. You guys know I would like to give you a lot of good news, but that's not my job. My job is to give you the energy so that you can plan accordingly. Unlike everybody out here who's giving you the, oh, everything's going to work out fine. No, it isn't. And it is not working out fine. You have the power to make sure your life works out fine by avoiding the chaos. Okay? The speaking of which, there is going to be technology that is going to be announced on November 5th in the afternoon that is going to support the actual body. Probably support the head area. So maybe there's a technology concerning the neck, the head, somewhere in this area, or it could be the whole body. Maybe there's something that comes out that helps people to be able to move. They're better than what they've had before. But a technological advance coming out November 5th. That is something that's good, right? I don't know if that's the announcement of the hearing thing, because I do know that there's going to be an artificial hearing tool that's going to be announced that's going to restore hearing. And as a person who has a hearing loss, I'm excited for that because maybe that'll work for me. But anyway, this is not a good day for travel, by the way. November 5th around 1 o'clock is not a good day. Possibility for accidents to occur on that day. Possibility for accidents specifically to occur around universities, like car accidents, bus accidents, those kinds of accidents. Possibility for that to occur on November 5th. So if you do not have to travel, don't. If you have to travel, as my mother says, keep your head on a swivel. Watch out for others because they may not be watching out for you. Looks like there is going to be a focus on your sixth house as the day continues. And again, sixth house is not just health and competition, it is also dealing with your internal organs, right? So you may find that there's something that you can do to improve your health, but there's also a minor focus on your physical appearance. So beauty. So this might be finding out that you can take a cream to remove marks off of your skin or your face and cause you to feel more attractive or something to that nature. Or it can be you can find something that increases your metabolism to enhance you to be able to lose weight easier, or you find out about that information on this day. Okay. If you are in a relationship, this is a romantic relationship, this day could see a lot of arguments. So you might want to be careful how you speak to someone, because the arguments could be over the fact that you think someone is cheating. Whether that's founded or not, I cannot say. I will have to look at your individual chart to say that. But there are some people who are doing things that are harming the relationships. And some of the things that they're doing that are harming the relationship actually are dealing with money. And it might not be that they're seeing someone, but they're wasting money in other ways. They could be gambling, they could be spending money on expensive toys, they could be not paying the rent or something to that effect. That is going to lead to a clash of energy for you guys. And some of it could be because you don't have a financial plan. You and the person have not discussed what it is that you need to actually put your money on, or how you need to divide it up. Maybe now is the time for you to do that. Let's look at my other energy for that day. Okay, let's go on to the 6th. Ooh. Some of you are having your mother move in with you, or a woman. May not be your biological mother. Someone who's a mother figure might need to move in with you. Or you might need to have that conversation about them moving in with you um, in order to better their health. Everything is going to be expanded on this day, and that means more of a focus, more of a attention to some things. So if you are dealing with some health issues, you might find more information out about it. If you are dealing with a work issue, it might become more intense this day. If you are arguing with your mother, then it might get to another level. If you are investigating secrets in your relationship, you might find out that much more. Whatever you're putting your energy towards is going to be more and more and more and more and more. The law might be called to your home today. Um, the law might be called to your job today, right? You may have to go to court today, November 5th, right? That energy is there. You might all of a sudden have to travel. Not that you want to, but you might have to. It is a day for putting forth your effort as much as possible, but it is a day of surgeries. And unfortunately, this is someone having surgery that you know of, um, might not make it. Someone going through a procedure might not make it today, November 6th. Um, Definitely someone else having surgery could end up being hospitalized longer than they expected. And this is a person having a joint surgery, you know, knee surgery, leg surgery, hip surgery, some type of joint surgery. That person could have an extended stay in the hospital because of it. Outside of the other person who's having a different surgery, internal surgery, or something else, not a joint surgery, who may not make it because they will not come out of that surgery. Okay. And any Yep, yep. Be careful for accidents this day because it leads itself to lots of accidents, to, of course, more of the car accidents this day. It lends itself to sporting event accidents this day, accidents at school this day. You just have to be careful on November 6th. Let's move to November 7th. And everything is always a lesson. So let's see November 7th, because November 7th should be more of a yes. November 7th is a day of endings and conclusions. So for some of you, that is actually going to be a day of rest because you have no choice. Some of you, that's going to be a day of imprisonment. Mean like jail. Some people. Perhaps for doing some lewd act in public. Or if we might hear about it, might be a celebrity. Maybe it's a celebrity who does something like that. Maybe it's not you directly. But I don't see the celebrity energy. This looks like a regular person. Okay. Okay, so then y'all be doing too much. Movement, of course, in careers, continuing on. Movement in technology for the home. More things to protect the home are coming out. More tools to protect the home are coming out. They say more surveillance tools are coming out. More surveillance in the home by the government is coming out. Okay. You might want to bump up your surveillance since they're bumping up surveillance. Finding more ways to do surveillance. And then we get to around 10:30 a.m. Let me go back a few minutes. Let me go back because that seemed to have started before 10:30. It started before 10:30. So, communication information revealed from a guru about higher learning, about education, about something that happened at a university being tied to military action. Someone's not going to like this information being leaked. Leaked information revealing a plot, and that it's going to be tied to a university. It's going to be tied to an entertainer or someone in the public eye, not just an entertainer, but someone who's well known. That information is coming out November 7th. November 7th. That's the day of endings. Oh, it's going to end their career for sure. Looks like there's going to be. It's not a pew pewing, but it's an attempt on somebody's life. It's not a pew pewing. Maybe they're going to poison them or make it look like they took themselves out or something like that. But there's going to be like a public figure life ending that is going to it could be a look like it's gonna look like an overdose, could look like a drug overdose. Interesting that they're gonna do that on November 7th or around the 7th. Energy I'm seeing is on the 7th. um, your health is going to be highlighted on this day, and learning about your health on this day, and also the use of herbs on this day is going to be highlighted, or learning about herbs that can help you with some health item that you're dealing with. November 7th. If y'all aren't doing too much, government, if y'all aren't doing too much, I don't know who is. The mother figure that is going to be taken out. It's going to be taken out by the government. That military action. Doing too much. And November 7th in the afternoon is going for those of you who are interested in relationships. It looks like the start of a relationship in the afternoon on November 7th. Looks like a older person who works in healthcare, or someone who works in healthcare or works in some type of institution like that. That's the type of person you're gonna meet. Um, and I say older person, but don't necessarily have to be an older person, but looks like they have gray hair. So they could be a younger person who grayed earlier, but that's November 7th. But salt and pepper game kind of energy. Meet somebody on November 7th. Oh, oh. Look at this. And another one of the energies that's here is one of my favorite energy, because I was born under this energy, is there. Now, here's very interesting. It's an energy of feeling like you're better than others, or feeling better than others, but it is definitely a crafting type energy. The ability to use your hands to create something, to make magic, the ability to use your hands to bring things to life. So for some of you who are in the creative field, or who are doing creative things like making jewelry, making art, that kind of thing, this is actually going to be a good day for you. It is a good day for you to get your thing out there. It is going to take active communication. It's going to take posting on social media, putting it on the radio, putting it in news, doing something to that effect. But definitely a very good business day for those of you who are in the creative space on November 7th. And then we're going to move to November 8th. Oops. Went back too far. And November 8th has my heart beating fast. There's a lot of energy on November 8th, and it's too much energy all at once, right? Okay. Okay, so for those of you who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, this day is going to impact you a lot in your civil liberties or your um, ability to be who you are completely, openly. Um, there will be attacks against you on that day, attacks against what you stand for on that day, majorly. Um, there will be attacks in places where you are partying, and not just you, it's in other minorities as well, because this is a tie back to the civil rights kind of area. So there will be places, attacks on places where people are gathering to have fun, which is why it's not a good day for ceremonies. There will be like warring type actions. So that is the attacks domestically. So it could be a party that's taking place at home where this happens, or a party that's taking place in a club, or some type of celebration, a wedding, or some kind of event um, that this happens um, on November 8th. That's the start. Also, some of that energy could take place in a government kind of place, like a lawyer's office or a law clerk's office, or a government building where like documents are delivered, and that could be like a explosion, like a bomb or some type of something like that. Looks like um, you won't be able to. Some people won't be able to get things done effectively. And when I say get things done, meaning if you are working on a project, there's going to definitely be some delays due to multiple things, but um, systems crashing, systems going down, something not working. Could be software, hardware, um, computer system can be under attack. It is actually a war. This could be also a sports person, a famous sports person transitioning. Where is that? There are going to be a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and hunting of people kind of energy, of tracking down, people being tracked down and attacked kind of energy. Be careful at night. It's a very risky day. Lots of people not making it. It's going to change how November 8th would be impactful to where people, it changes how people live, or how they see things. This is foreigners. Attack in the foreign land also. Military attack in a foreign land also happening. This video is going way longer than I wanted it to go to. Not a good day for travel. Okay. And we end that energy with a reset. November 8th is going to be a reset. It's going to be reset of everything. It's going to be reset of thinking, it's reset of energies, reset of documents, of everything. November 8th, it's going to be a reset. Okay. If you had anything planned on November 8th, like wedding ceremony, any of that stuff, if you can cancel it, cancel it. Alrighty? Boycotts, things like that, any of that kind of stuff that happens on November 8th is going to turn out poorly, bloody. So, all right, well, that's the first week of November, and I think I'm going to do this every week, is to put out whatever's happening for you guys. That's that. Take care.